So we're out here tonight to have a look at the link belt. It does this weird thing where when it's cold, it only wants to start and die, and start and die, and start and die. And you have to do that a lot. So I was thinking maybe fuel filters or whatnot, but we swapped the fuel filter. But I was poking around online, and apparently underneath the lift pump, inside the banjo fitting, there's a screen. And I guess that is prone to plugging, and then you can't get any fuel. Now this thing has already been retrofitted with so that little tiny lift pump right there, which is just completely jerry-rigged in. There's no way that's standard. So they're pushing more fuel than they normally would in order to, I don't know, I'm wondering if they started having troubles with it starting, so they went ahead and added this little electric fuel pump, which I don't even know how it operates, considering that it has, this goes directly to ground, and this goes directly to a positive terminal on the battery. So how the hell is it even coming on with the switch? Why has it got power to it? Because it can't exactly run an idiot light since it's not connected to anything. So a little more investigation is in order. Okay. So this down here is the line coming from the tank. It goes to a banjo fitting right there. This is the injector pump. My understanding is that's the lift pump, a little tiny piston pump. It then pumps fuel up through this line, through the fuel filter, back down out of the fuel filter into the injection pump, and from the injection pump to all of the injectors. It has this common return rail that feeds back in, and then that is going back out and into a return line heading back out to the tank itself. And there is the fuel filter. Looks like maybe the turbo is weeping. Well, I better address that in a hurry. So, according to the guys, underneath that should be a screen, and that screen is often plugged, and that plug results in a reduced fuel flow. And maybe the reason they have put an electric pump on the thing is so that it can overcompensate for a plugged fitting. But first, I'm here to take that, so that's what I'm going to look at. Alright, here's that lower bolt. There's the plastic screen inside, and it appears to be just fine. Shoot! That's not it. I might bump the key on for a bit and just blurp out some fuel down there, just to flush any crap I might have got in when I took that out. Alright, back over on this side. I figured out the mystery behind the fuel pump, which has got, you know, like literally, there it is clamped right there, and there it is clamped right there. It is because the negative cable goes to that right in there, which, best I can tell, is a giant relay. So none of the tractor has negative connection until that thing is turned on. The electrical in this is just hogged together. I noticed this burned, melted bit right here, but when I roll this back, I don't see any evidence of it right there. And that doesn't appear to be electrical tape wrap job. Right here, this is my fuel water separator. That line is water. So actually no, that line is water. So the thing is actually filled with water to that point. The deal is, I drained it. Now, right now, I am attempting to run this thing super, super low because I would like to replace this vinyl tube, which is the fuel gauge. So I'd like to replace that. So I'm trying to run the machine really, really low. And yesterday I was running it at a slope, and I know that whole tank was just sloshing back and forth. So I think it was picking up a bunch of water from the bottom, which is obviously not good because water in a diesel is killer. Hopefully you weren't looking for some sort of answer to your problem, because I'm really just sort of thinking through my own problems. Like, I know in theory I have a fuel sender, but yeah, I got that. I got a disconnected wire down here, you know, no fuses or anything in that. Electrical tape splices. There is, oh geez, I can see a wet line back in there. Something's leaking. None of the dash panel works on the thing. Nothing whatsoever. So anyways, there's a lot of electrical stuff that's got to be done on it. From what I can tell, it's basically just been bootlegged to the point where it has a hotkey. Even the motor shutoff, the electrical key switch shutoff is at least, I should look for that. It's either removed or disconnected. So anyways, I got full of water right there. I want it out of there, but it doesn't necessarily bother me to see it in there with how I was throwing the machine around. You think there's any screens in these? Maybe these need to come loose and see if there's some screens in those. Those could be plugged a little bit. My gut feeling is they added this lift pump to deal with a fuel issue that was unresolved. I bet there's a screen in the tank. Maybe bubble a little air backwards. I got the stuff to do that here. Blow air backwards into the tank and see what happens. That might be a try. Anyways, let's get that drained, and I want this off so I can inspect it. Okay, so I got this off, and just, you know, with my own breath, blew backwards through it. And it's, considering the fuel level of the tank is, I can't really see, I think it's way down there. There's a lot of pressure. I had to really, it was almost like blowing up a balloon. That seems like way, way too much to me. So I'm going to go ahead and try blowing out backwards through it. I think I'll probably end up cutting some of these zip ties loose so I can hang it down here, and we'll see just what kind of flow we get from gravity. So, I mean, it should gravity feed okay, but I'm going to blow backwards, and maybe we got a plugged pickup screen in here. Maybe that's what it's struggling to overcome. So, reaching around exploring down in here, I found the tank's drain valve. First off, when I flip it, it barely drips. And what's dripping out of it, it's got a tinge of pink now, but originally it was just water. But it's drip, 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 drip. So that would lead me to believe that there's a bunch of crap in the tank, enough to plug the drain, which means there's probably enough to plug that pickup. So let's go get the air, and we'll give her a puff back here, and I'll run some wire maybe up there and give it a puff in there, and we'll see just what we get out of this beautiful old machine. Well, a little bit of that came out of there, but most of it came out of the tank. I stuck the wire through and started to dribble, and I wiggled the wire around and she went poosh and spilled. I might have discovered one of our problems here too. When I was putting air to this, and I mean, I was putting a little bit of air to it, but it was barely venting. It was just a light little hiss. So I wonder if a cap not venting could be our slow, steady loss of engine power as the machine warms up and runs. And why that slow, steady loss of engine power might be worse when it's full of fuel, much noticeably worse when it's full of fuel as opposed to when it's mostly empty. Because when it was mostly empty, like when I was running it all day yesterday, I never had any real problems with it except towards the very bitter end. I had all of this tank that it had to pull a vacuum on. I don't know, just thoughts. But I've drained out the bottom now. There is still clearly drips of fuel hovering there. So at some point I'm going to have to spin this thing around so I can get to this inspection cover and drop that maybe. So there's the fuel tank drain inspection cover anyways. You'll notice that it's been flipped back and tightened up, so it's not on. So that should probably be done. So I'm not sure we necessarily learned a whole lot. We learned that it does have the banjo fittings filter, with screen really, but it's just big chunks, so if that's plugging up with stuff, you got some serious problems, because you're getting unfiltered crap all the way through, because it's a big screen, right? It'd be like straining it through your teeth. I mean, it's got a mounting point for something right there. We've discovered the machine has an entire switched ground system. That's fascinating. I put air back through this, and I'll probably loosen that cap and blow on it really hard again another time. And I'm not sure whether it was plugged, but like I said, it was way too much to blow through it. It was not quite as bad as like blowing up a balloon, but maybe once your balloon got to be softball sized, it took that much pressure. You know how it gets easier. So it took that much pressure to blow into it, which seems way too much to me. So I'll puff on it a few more times with the air and loosen the cap first this time so it doesn't fountain fuel all over everything. Puff on it a few more times with the air and see if I can get it cleaner. I don't know, we'll try starting it. I haven't done jack all, right? All I've been able to figure out is there's water in the tank, more than we'd like. It's been drained and cleaned. We cracked open the fuel drain port at the bottom, and there's a little tit right there, so it'll collect garbage. So, you know, for the next few whatevers, I can crack that thing and drain some more garbage out of the bottom of the tank, and maybe eventually we'll see her start to flow clean. I don't know if we've actually accomplished anything, but we've learned some things, and we went on a journey together. That's the real magic. Mint and diesel fuel, it's not the best combination. Let's put it back together. Let's turn that key on and see if she's going to self-prime. I can see it going up. It's going up slowly. It's not happy about it. Makes sense, it's probably pretty dry. I wonder where that return line goes in. Is that it there? Okay, there's the return line there. We might be able, since the tank is empty, we might be able to hear it when that starts to... we'll know when the pump hits fuel. We might be able to hear when it cycles through the entire system. There, the pump hit fuel. Okay, and I heard what sounded like a bubble come out of that far back line. I think we're good to go. So, let's tighten this down before I forget. Okay, let's start it and see if it's going to do that whole start and die, start and die, start and die thing. I'll leave the camera up there. See what it does. Well, I did it once. It's not super cold out here. We're in the 50s. actually change anything. I didn't actually find anything super wrong. So about all I can think at this point is maybe that pickup was a little plugged. Now the pump feels weird right now. You know, these pumps just sort of rattle around and vibrate. Right now it's pulsing like a heartbeat. Thump, 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 thump. I wonder if that pump is just not big enough to feed this motor. In theory, it doesn't need it. In theory, it's got a lift pump. It shouldn't have this, if I've read the books correctly. Somebody can tell me if I'm wrong, but it shouldn't have it. There's something else wrong, either a weak lift pump, or I can't believe it was as simple as blowing out the screens. There's just no way it was that easy. So something's not quite right here, which is why it's got this lift pump. I'm going to rev it up and see if the heartbeat changes. So this machine should have an electric throttle up, right? But it doesn't. They've retrofitted it to a hand throttle. Which doesn't stay. That's why the bungee's there. Nah, it's not doing anything different. You know, something's been dripping on these tracks, right? And I got a drip on each bolt head down there, and it looks like fuel. Something else has been leaking farther in from this particular swing pivot, and it looks like hydraulic oil or fuel. Feels weird to me not to grease rollers. Is that just the way they all are now? Oh, that's new. Huh. I adjusted, well, Dad and I adjusted the throttle so that, because the whole hand throttle thing had come loose back on the motor. So we adjusted the throttle up, and so it gave us actual full throttle as measured by the stops on the injector pump, which still have the tie wires, so I'm very confident they've not been messed with. But we weren't getting full throttle there, so we fixed that, and I never tried throttling it all the way back down. I've been pulling what is essentially the emergency stop handle. The man I bought it from stalled it. He would just run it down to an idle and then shove the boom down and kill it that way. I figure it's probably best to kill it with the mechanical shutoff. I don't know if it's okay to kill it with just throttling it down. You guys can weigh in on that. I don't know if we learned anything. I don't know if we fixed anything. I guess we found some stuff. I found the tank is full of trash. Big surprise. We found that the fuel filler cap might not be venting properly, so that one could be one of my issues. Fuel water separator was full of water, but then it was supposed to be, well, it's supposed to do that, and it wasn't above its overflow line. We pulled the banjo fitting, and that screen looks fine. So I guess I don't know. If you own one of these things and you came here looking for a fix, I don't have it yet. But I'd sure love it if you left in the comments what's wrong with yours, and then if you ever figure out how to fix it, let me know, because I'm sure it's just a matter of time. Other than that, hey bud, what do we always tell people to end the videos?
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Did you see?
What?
I went up that ridge.
So he went up, that little mountain goat, somehow, without dying, got up that zigzag trail onto that ledge, which is one of the few places on the entire mountain I have never been. So I was impressed.
I went up there.
And it's kind of like a rock overhang cave looking thing. Is it pretty cool in there, or is it nothing?
It's nothing.
Oh, that's too bad.
And up there, on the second ridge up, there's a tiny little spot where 3 big ones that I could almost get my arms around. They're so big.
Mm-hmm.
Protected by the fire up there.
Cool. Did the dog come back with you? Oh, there he is over there. None of this, by the way, has anything to do with the excavator, so I'm sure if you came here looking for a solution, you probably already left a negative review and moved on. Something like that. Oh, there's the train.
And I came down there. I actually tried to wave at a school bus. They didn't see.
They didn't see you?
But I came down right there.
Cool.
So I went up, and I went in a circle.
Even if we fix nothing, the adventure makes it worth it, right?